everybody, and welcome back to the Moonshadow Mystery channel. And I am welcoming you for the first in a long time, a brief, hopefully brief, section of Moonshadow's First Impressions. I'm not sure if that's what I'm going to go with this actually. Either way, no, these are my first thoughts on the My Little Pony Equestria Girls Minisodes, which are, I'm not entirely certain if it's the start of a full-on Equestria Girls series outside of the movies. If it is, I am looking forward to it, but it is definitely something that lived up to the hype. Anyone out there who hasn't seen this, or these three specials, I'm sure many of you probably haven't, because they're only airing one a week for now during the hiatus. So as you may or may not know, this past weekend they aired Dance Magic. This upcoming weekend they're more than likely going to be airing Movie Magic, and then the weekend after next should be airing Mirror Magic. So for those who have not seen any of these, spoiler warning ahead. Now, Dance Magic, which is probably the one most well known of for the moment, is the episode in which Canterlot High enters into a dance competition in order to earn up the money to finish repairing the damages to Camp Everfree. Now, this is a great tie-in to the movies and a great way of getting us some continuity nods. The episode starts out with a car wash to try and earn some funds, and it turns out they've done a number of other things. Baking, pet drives, and other things in order to earn the money, and they're still quite a ways off. Now, we do get an appearance from the Human World Big Mac, but unfortunately he doesn't have any speaking roles. But that's alright, he's just there for convenience sake. And showing some moral support to the school and to his sisters, which is great. Now, while Stump trying to figure out what they do, Rarity does what Rarity does and goes to the mall. And there she learns of the competition. The Canterlot Mall Dance Competition, where contestants enter in a video of their own original song and dance routines. Winner gets the big cash prize. Now, plot twist, the Crystal Prep Academy students, well, 4 of them, not all 6 of them, are present. And unfortunately, the only 2 whose names I can remember are Sour Sweet and... honestly, I had it and it was on the tip of my tongue and now I lost it. Anyways, the ones who are there are Rarity's counterpart, Applejack's counterpart, Fluttershy's counterpart. At least I think it's Fluttershy's counterpart. You got Sour Sweet, the one who can't lie, and the one who is extremely sarcastic. And then, of course, we have the opposite of DJ Pone 3, which is always a sight to see. I think her name was... it wasn't Lemonheart. I can't really remember her name. She does have a similar pattern to Lemonheart, but as far as her color scheme, but the main's different. I don't know. But anyways, turns out they're there too, but for a much more superficial, well, at first glance, a superficial reason. They want to win the money in order to fund a dance competition, well, not really a dance competition, but a big dance on a yacht. It turns out that the previous principal of Crystal Prep has been booted. And welcome in Princess Miyamori Cadenza, or should I say Principal Miyamori Cadenza, to the rescue. Turns out Crystal Prep is starting to get on the right track. Well, what's this? They don't know what they're going to do, and Rarity, being Rarity, succumbs to the sin of... dang it. I was going to go into a whole thing there, but no. Basically, Rarity gets flattered and spills out her whole idea, which they then steal. Shocker! You don't tell the plan to the enemy. You don't call the big playbook before the game and get all the opponent players to know what you're going to do. Anyone ought to know this. I mean, seriously. If all it takes is a little bit of flattery to get Rarity to spill her guts, it's no good. Anyway, she's unaware of this, and they can proceed to use what money they had raised to provide Rarity with the funding in order to get materials so that she can actually create the costumes for the performance. And they look spectacular. Unfortunately, none of them really understands choreography, so they're getting in each other's way a lot. So much so that they end up accidentally damaging Rainbow Dash's wardrobe, which sends Rarity back to the mall where she discovers Le Treachery. The student is a spy. Yeah, she discovers they've already created their own costumes and their own dance routine. And I have to admit, while I don't really care for modern dance myself, I am thoroughly impressed. I could go on and on, but push comes to shove, she goes back to Candlelight High, explains the situation, and they toss around a few ideas. Unfortunately, none of them are really good. I mean, they start out promising, but then they kind of go downhill fast. Basically, AJ was thinking on an empty stomach, which is never a good idea. Rainbow Dash still had Daring Do's latest book on the mind. And, Pinky being Pinky. I mean, I'm way too random for me to try and explain in a short time limit. Anyways, after a while, Rarity and Twilight end up deciding to go together to Crystal Prep in order to confront them and try and convince them. Sorry, I'm kind of all over my cord here. But anyway, to try and convince them to change their routine so that Rarity and Candlelight High can use the original idea. Naturally, they put out the fact that they want to win, so they're not changing. Rarity and Twilight leave, and next we see Rarity is in the ice cream shop, bawling her eyes out in a very ugly cry. I hate seeing her like that. It's been done. It was mildly humorous the first time we see it, but now it's just played out. It's past its welcome. Anyways, we find out that while they have their dance routine figured out, they have no song. Oh, but what's this? Candlelight High's prize students are musicians? Collaboration! That's right. As anyone could see this a mile away, they decide to unite. Combine the best of both worlds to create one super video. And no surprise, it wins! J'accuse! I used that incorrectly, didn't I? Either way, the end product is actually really well done. Although, wrapping Pinkie Pie is still something that kind of catches you off guard. But I have to admit, the overall thing is done well. Sour Sweet. I hate to admit, they actually make me like Sour Sweet. I mean, seriously, first it's Snails, now it's Sour Sweet. I mean, they're really on a roll with this. I don't know who to expect to start liking next. Anyways, that's pretty much it. I mean, they end with both schools really learning to like each other and become friends. And then, hold on just a sec if you please. Sorry, I had to reply to a notification from a close friend of mine who's going through some issues. I won't get into it, it's not my place. But anyway, that ends Dance Magic's very brief summary. Honestly, I liked it. I mean, it was a good, strong start to this trio. Pretty good timing as far as pacing. First act went well, second act had a little bit of drama to it. Third act was a nice conclusion. Unfortunately, I wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention as far as who wrote and directed each one, so I can't really comment. But I have to admit, they did a good job. I mean, they're still kind of working through some of the things as far as getting the characters' personalities right for Equestria Girls. and keeping it consistent, but I can't really complain beyond that. It was still enjoyable, it kept my attention, and minus one or two moments that had me shaking my head a little bit. I have to admit, it was really enjoyable. Now let's go on to Movie Magic, where we find that after successfully saving Camp Everfree, the main 7 have been invited to the set of the Daring Do movie. Now, there is actually a whole heck of a lot going on here, and I really don't want to spoil a whole lot of it, but essentially the movie director is an alumni from Camp Everfree, and is extremely grateful to the fact that they saved his old stomping grounds. We do see a lot of instances of Rainbow Dash being a huge fangirl, and speaking out when she probably shouldn't be, but it actually works off in a very good comedic way, and not really in a cringeworthy way, which is a fine line in some instances, and they play it out well. Admittedly, the director actually takes it in good stride and doesn't get real mad. I mean, gets frustrated, but doesn't get mad. Now, the actress who's assigned to play Daring Do, well, let's just say she isn't quite what you seem to get from the first impressions of seeing her. Thank heavens. I've seen that archetype way too much, and I don't want to see it again. At least not in a kid's show. But what's this? The movie has been plagued by a lot of setbacks and scheduling conflicts. But we won't touch on that because it actually kind of ruins the surprise involving the actress picked to play the Daring Do character in the movie. And yes, AK Yearling is mentioned, but she's not present. However, it turns out that every little detail as far as set pieces, props, etc. were personally approved by her. So that's a good little detail. I'm just sad to say that we didn't get to see the return of AK Yearling in the Equestria Girls world. That would have been fantastic. But we are getting a little more idea of difference as far as teenager versus adult as far as designs, because they clearly went with a woman who was much older than Rainbow Dash, despite the fact that Rainbow is a perfect dead-on representation of Daring in the pony world. She's not in the human world. And that's a good thing to know. Anyways, while they're setting it for the next scene, we see the girls meet up with the director's niece, whose name I just forgot, even though I just finished watching the whole thing back to back. I can't remember her first name. I do know the other half of her name is Montage, so let's just call her Montage, that way we don't overcomplicate it. And Montage at first seems real sweet. You know, she's this hyper little fangirl who's basically interning on set for her uncle. And she's really knowledgeable. Actually goes out of her way to show Twilight and Rainbow a little look around. I know you're going to think, where's the other girls? Turns out everyone had their own thing they wanted to see. Rarity and Fluttershy wanted to meet the actress. Pinkie Pie and Spite wanted to go find the food. And Applejack and Sunset Shimmer wanted to go see some of the props and set pieces. Well, specific props and set pieces, not the same ones that Rainbow and Twilight go to look at. And I have to admit, the design-wise, it's really well done. They do a great way of really translating the pony characters into human form. And believe it or not, we even get a little cameo later from a previous episode. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. Anyways, we start to see a lot of things fall into place. It seems a little more slow at first. And then, and I ain't going to use it right this time, shock yes! The props disappear. What's this? A mystery afoot. The irreplaceable props have gone missing. The volcano set collapsed. The wardrobe misplaced. This is unacceptable. So what do the girls do? They decide to help look. But what's this lurking in the shadows? At first, I thought maybe it was Ikora. And I'm not gonna lie, the cloak, the pendant that was being worn, which admittedly wasn't identical to the ones Ikora wore as far as that kept her cloak tied, but it kind of reminded me of it. Thankfully, I was proven wrong, because I would hate to think of Zecora as a bad person, considering how amazing she was before she kind of got pushed in the wayside. I really hope we see some return of her. I don't know if there's an issue with the actress or there's something else going on that we haven't seen her. But I want to see Zecora make a return. She was a really well done character. A nice change. A pony but not a pony. And with all the focus on background characters this season so far, I want to see more of her. Anyway, off topic. As the girls decide to chase this figure through the back alleys of the film studio lot, they end up in a completely different area, on a completely unrelated movie. Which is not surprising, since common sense ought to tell you if this person's been, careening the production all over the place for the last month or two, they know their way around. But where do they end up? Smack dab in the middle of the comic book world. That's right. It's the return of the Power Ponies. Although Sunset Shimmer, unfortunately, gets cast as the Maniac. Although she did wear it better. I'm not gonna lie. Sunset actually looked good in the Maniac's costume. They all looked fantastic in the human versions, but they did not change the name. They actually left it as the Power Ponies. Which I liked, but at the same time, I wanted more clarification. Please, if this becomes a series, give me clarification on why. Is this like a Zordon thing? Is it? I would actually like that. I would love that. That would be awesome. I mean, seriously, that would be so sweet. But I'm off topic! Or maybe it's not even a Zordon thing, maybe it's more like a Captain Planet thing. A lot of possibilities. But anyways, after the guy who put them in costume got fired because he mistook these young ladies for the actresses, which, to be fair, would be a common mistake. I mean, the exact number of actresses who fit the parts just happen to be there near the set. I mean, come on. The guy's stressed, he's freaking out, and it seemed appropriate. I mean, he was at risk of losing his job anyway, and unfortunately just kind of bit him in the butt. Sadly, we didn't get to see them attempt to get through the scene in order to help save the guy's job. They just kind of run off, but they end up on another movie set, which is actually a nod to another animated movie that already had a sequel and now a spin-off TV series, which maybe that's a hint. I hope it's a hint. But it's basically a parody of Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. But what's the title? Stormy with a Chance of Pudding! And yes, they use real pudding. Much to Pinky's delight. Anyways, after they encounter the same mysterious figure there, Rainbow chases after them, while the other girls get captured in a net. I'm assuming the net was used for holding ballast for curtains and whatnot. But anyways, in the process of chasing after, she knocks over a bucket of pudding and leaves a trail, which naturally you can assume leads right to her. Now, my assumption was she was going to get framed. Thankfully, I was wrong. But she does end up locked in the supply closet. Sorry for that, everyone. Give me just a minute. Anyways, as I was saying, Rainbow Dash ends up getting herself locked in the supply closet. Now, we can account this is possible since her friends were tied up. However, it wouldn't have happened quite. Sorry about that. There we go. It wouldn't have happened quite as fast if not for the fact she used her geodestone powers to super speed run so far ahead. And yes, most of the time the girls do wear their geodes. However, on this particular excursion, only Twilight and Rainbow Dash wore theirs. So yes, it is Twilight to the rescue by using her telekinesis to levitate the net off. But it is thanks to Pinkie Pie's amazing observational skills that they follow the pudding trail that leads them to where Rainbow Dash has been locked away. And even human Pinkie has weird, like, pocket dimension powers with her hair. Unless she sticks a whole, like, paint can sized tub of pudding into her hair for later. It's... I mean, Pinkie is Pinkie, but some of that's just weird, man. But after the girls' rescue Rainbow, they report to the director where they found the dress. And they all decide to meet at the site where the props had been stolen from. And the props in particular, and it is kind of important to mention, I can't remember all of them offhand, but I can tell you definitively that one of them is a scepter with a red spherical jewel, and the other one is an Aztec sword with a green gem in it. Now, this is important to note that a lot of Darren Dude's adventures do take place in a very South American, Inca, Mayan, Aztec kind of area. And an Aztec sword is basically a long sword with lots of shark-like teeth embedded in it. So it's a really intricately designed, wicked-looking weapon made out of gold and emeralds. And aesthetically, it is sweet. Like, if that sucker was an unlockable weapon in any video game, I would be using it all the time. It's just so awesome. But anyways, at the site, they decide to search all over. And the site in particular happens to be a little Moroccan-style village. At least I think it's Moroccan. It might be South American. It's really hard to tell aesthetically because some of these structures look so similar, and culturally speaking, the clothing is so similar. It's just, I don't know. It's like some sort of middle ground area. It's almost like kind of Rolf-like in a sense. Rolf from Ed, Edd n Eddy, that is, in that it's like this non-specified yet oddly familiar area. You know what I mean? Anyways, after they start looking, they send off Miss Montage for smoothies. Because the director gives who happens to be our uncle, gives the explanation. Everybody's probably getting awful thirsty by now. Well, this was all a bait. While Miss Montage thought they were out looking for the props, they were following her to her hiding place on the set. Now, you may be wondering, why would the director's niece do this? Turns out, she was jealous. Jealous that Miss Chestnut, and yes, I actually finally remember her name, the actress who is playing Darren Dude in the movie, is someone she does not like. Not really sure why. I mean, I'm not sure anymore. At first, I kind of understood it. But as the episode went on, I kind of started seeing things a little differently. Anywho, there's a number of very superficial reasons behind it, including this extreme kind of imported candy bar thing that Pinky and Spike ate a whole awful lot of. And it actually sounded really tasty, actually. Off topic! But anywho, turns out the real reason is that she wanted to play darkryu herself. Despite the fact that apparently in the human world, a generalized age is specified for darkryu, and she wasn't quite old enough to fit the bill. And so, because she was jealous of the fact she didn't get picked, and didn't like the actress playing her to start with, she decided to sabotage the movie in hopes that the woman's contract would run out, or the film would get pushed back to the point where they had no choice but to either end the film or have her take the other woman's place. And yes, it's all very childish, but we have to remember that these are technically teenagers. And hormone-fueled teenagers do a lot of stupid stuff. I did it, you did it. Most of the people out there watching this video more than likely did. Let's not kid ourselves. But it wraps up by her being fired, temporarily banned from the film set, and the girls being given bit parts as stand-ins on set. And I don't mean stand-ins as in, stand-ins for other people. No, I'm talking about like background characters. That's right, the main 7 get pushed back to background status for all of 2 minutes. And they're put in a part spinning of their actual character. That's the interesting thing. And what we see ensuing is definitely enough to make me want to see more of this as an actual series. And it ends by Rainbow Dash fangirling and ruining the shot. Again. Which is a funny way to end the episode, but I'm not complaining about it. Now, was this a good follow-up to Dance Magic? Yes. Was this a little more fast-paced, action-oriented? Yes. If you like more slice-of-life stuff, Dance Magic's your thing. If you like more action-adventure kind of thing, this is definitely for you. Again, I don't know who wrote it, who directed it, but I do know that this was done fairly well. A lot of the jokes were on point. A lot of the characters, well, as far as their Equestria girls counterparts, were on point. There weren't any overused running gags aside from Rainbow Dash's fangirling, which she does in the main series, so I'm not really going to critique that too badly. Have the villain not really be a villain, but more of a misunderstood so-and-so, kind of like Trixie and Lilamoon was in the first season of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. A likable kind of sort. So yeah, all in all, I definitely would say that Movie Magic was worth the watch. And because, aside from some continuity stuff early on, going back to the saving of Camp Everfree, you could almost watch it as a standalone. But that brings us to the 3rd chapter, Mirror Magic. And yes, Mirror Magic sounds like a Duel Monsters card. Something whipped up by industrial illusions. Something worthy of a Duel Monsters tournament. But no. I do like these themed titles though. It's simple, but it works. How does the episode start? Well, the episode starts kind of simply. We actually start off with Miss Montage. Now, yes, she had been fired, but her uncle still cares about her, and pulls a few strings to get her hired on at the premiere theater where a lot of these movie premieres take place, as an usher, desk waiter, etc. And yes, she's not very thrilled about it. And everywhere she turns, she sees reminders that the main 7 are semi-responsible for her failure. So yeah, she's another one of those types who blames everyone else for what went wrong instead of accepting responsibility. Been there, done that. We all saw it coming, didn't we? Now the interesting thing is this one actually ties back even more to the legend of Camp Everfree. How? Well, if you stayed tuned to the very end of the movie and saw the magic pouring out of the crystal geodes in the cavern, you'll notice some magical sparks floating into the air. Well, it turns out one of those magical sparks found its way all the way to civilization and into a mirror. That mirror just happened to be at a sunglass hut stand, where she's standing there talking to herself, trying on a pair of star-shaped sunglasses, and talking about how if not for those girls, I would have been a fantastic actress. Yeah, don't kid yourself, honey. Those girls probably just kept you from looking like an overgrown brat. Although, to be fair, an overgrown brat would probably look a whole lot better than a criminal. So, in that regard, I can kind of understand being mad. Anywho, after she picks up the mirror with the magic, she sees a reflection of how she views herself, which is something we've seen done in other series before. Having a little trouble remembering an exact thing. About the closest I can kind of pinpoint right now would be one of the earlier Scooby-Doo movies, specifically Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School, in which toward the end of the movie, Shaggy and Scooby, going through Revolta's castle, stumble across a mirror, and in the mirror, Shaggy sees a monstrous version of himself, which is not really a monstrous version of himself as much as it is a mirror demon that takes the form of the anti-equivalent of the person staring into it. And if staring too long, it will jump out and forcibly swap places. But that's neither here nor there. It's just the closest comparison I can do. Now, yes, she starts to focus on it a lot and ends up paying for it and taking it with her. Going back to Canterlot High, we see Sunset Shimmer writing in the journal to Princess Twilight, trying to lay out the fact that she's having a little bit of trouble dealing with all the downtime and finds herself constantly focusing on the potential negatives of all the magic running amok in the human world. An understandable fear to have given what we've seen magic do. I mean, if she wasn't a little bit concerned, I'd be concerned for her. And I mean a little bit, not obsessive compulsive on it, which is kind of straddling the line. But it's understandable. Anywho, she ends up running out of pages. That's right, she runs out of pages to write in the journal. Now we have to remember that this is the same journal she's had since she was Princess Celestia's student. So yeah, it was bound to run out eventually, especially as often as she writes to Twilight. And they are in the malls. I'm not actually sure if it's the Canterlot. I am. I'm pretty sure it's the Canterlot Mall. I don't know if the film studio is in the Canterlot area or not. It's weird. Anyways, they're in the food court. And the girls naturally show up. Pinky being Pinky is trying to be as helpful as she can. And kind of crosses into the boundaries department. And by that I mean, personal space violation. I mean, seriously, we see human Pinky show a little glimpse of her quote-unquote Pinkamena personality in that moment. And it's disturbing, man. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Ugh. It's bad road, bad road, bad road. Anyways, not long into their conversation, Twilight writes back. And this is where I get a little confused. I mean, this starts the point at which I get confused. because I'm not sure if this is supposed to take place before Season 7 or after Season 7. Or during, for that matter. And I'll explain why in just a minute. Because what Twilight writes back is she wants Sunset Shimmer to return to Equestria. And Sunset's like, why? What have I done? You know, it's kind of like the, I would show you except for my face cannot express expressions. I am stuck in a mouth-agape position. Actually, that's probably a good comparison. Anyways, we return to Candlelit High, and she steps through the portal. And you can tell it's been a while since she's been through because the transportation sequence freaks her out a little bit. And even when she comes through, she's actually quite adept at walking on her hind hooves. All the fanfic writers of Lyra Heartstrings, she would more than likely be aghast. Anyways, when she arrives, Twilight's not there. Apparently, the table, the friendship table, the cutie map, has summoned all the main six off to some grand place. Which is why I get confused. I mean, if this took place before Season 7, what was it? Or is this having to do with an episode to be featured after the hiatus is over? I have no idea. I'm really confused. Either way, I need answers. But Starlight Glimmer is waiting. And with a brand new journal. This time, instead of Celestia's mark, it's Twilight's. Which is fitting. A metaphorical and literal changing of the guard. Well, there we see that both Sunset and Starlight are feeling a little concerned. And again, this is where I get confused. Because by this point in Season 7, Starlight's already, quote-unquote, graduated Twilight's lessons and is basically choosing how to make friends and what to do to improve her friendships her own self. And yet, one of their comments is that Twilight wants her to learn more about friendship. Anybody else seeing why I'm a little confused here? Anyways, they decide that Twilight would not necessarily be upset at Starlight leaving, and with Sunset Shimmer confirming that she's not ever seen another Starlight in Candlelit High yet, agrees to take her back to the human world. And again, I get mildly confused at this point, because by now everybody knows that Sunset's really a pony. Princess Twilight's been through a couple of times, and she's really a pony. And yet they're concerned about Starlight making a scene? Okay. Mild continuity error, but whatever. We do see a lot of similarities between how Starlight reacts and how Twilight reacted when she first arrived, so that's kind of a nice little nod to the original movie. And we do get a little background shot of the human CMC staring in disbelief. But before they have a chance to meet up with the rest of the main seven, or rather the human seven, they run into Montage at the cinema, where she's been practicing using the wish-granting magic of the mirror. Mostly to do her chores that she can't be bothered to do, apparently. Even though it's her job. I can't help but feel that this is some sort of cultural commentary. Oh well. No, they try to be nice to her. They do. They make a genuine effort to try and be nice. Oh, to be perfectly honest, a lot of times Pinky trying to be nice can come off the wrong way. But she severely overreacts, continues to blame them, and then wishes them away, in which they get sucked into the mirror. And upon the human six being sucked inside, the rainbow magic of their geodes mixes with the magic of the mirror. Which again, not surprising, since, as I pointed out earlier, the magic of the mirror comes from the geode stones in the cavern at Camp Everfree. And what happens? Well, Montage transforms. Oh, wait. She doesn't transform right away. She does get big green glowing eyes. And I mean circa, the ever-free woman. And how rarity looked when she had that book in her hand. Hoof. Don't judge me. I'm an anthropomorphic changeling. Anyways. As a little ha-ha, she picks up Fluttershy's pendant, her barrette, which she always wears in her hair, and pins it to her shirt like a trophy. Whereas with villains always feel the need to mock and tempt fate. Anyways, Sunset and Starlight arrive at the mall and go through the food court apparently. Because next time we see Starlight, she is licking a double scoop ice cream cone. And failing at it. Because she knocks the top one off. What a horrible waste of ice cream. Oh well. We have a little heart-to-heart in which Starlight and Sunset do a whole, you're not so different speech, in a sense. Not verbatim, but you can kind of see what I'm getting at, right? Anyways, they make their way to the theater for the premiere. But when they get there, all they see is montage. Naturally, Sunset and Starlight duck behind the claw machine because they're not sure what to expect. Especially once Sunset sees that Montage is wearing Fluttershy's butterfly pin. Starlight goes up and mentions casually that she's looking for her friends. And of course, Montage does the whole sly, oh, I've not seen them. You know what I mean? But thankfully, this time Sunset remembered her geode and gets the whole nitty-gritty by touching her. But, of course, the pout, after trying to explain to her the folly of her ways and holding on to power and trying to use it in an evil way, she uses it in an evil way and sucks Starlight into the mirror. Not Starlight, Sunset. Seriously, I'm starting to fall into the trap of those two being like mirrors of each other. Anywho, upon her entering, she evolves. As in, the magical power of all 7 geodes transforms her. And strangely enough, her transformation looks very similar to what Gloriosa's did in Camp Everfree. Now, this is what I meant earlier when I said it kind of connects even further. I don't know if this was an intentional thing. If Gaia Everfree is really a real person, and her magic is actually somehow trapped in the human world, I don't know. But it's very interesting to see, especially since Montage's outfit becomes very vegetation looking. And she transforms into a giant. Like, seriously. Huge! And apparently the magic of the mirror has affected her vision, where all she can see is what she wants to see. All the screaming people are adoring fans. It's really sad. Definitely a psychological statement on delusions of grandeur. Anyways, it's up to Starlight Glimmer to save the day. But in the process of taking the mirror away, she accidentally cracks it, and we see the world falling apart. Now, going back into the mirror, we do get a few funny lines from Pinkie about how she can't see the fourth wall. That's right, we hear a confirmation that Pinkie is isolated. Even though we can see her, for once, she cannot see us. Which, that in itself, is kind of creepy. Normally it'd be creepy the fact that they can see us, but no, the fact that she can't actually really hits home just how drastic their situation is. I mean, honestly, my only I can keep going. But eventually we see that Starlight realizes that the only way to get through to her is to get the same speech Sunset did. But this time, she goes a step further. Is what you really want fame? Or is it a friend? To which Montage goes, who would ever want to be a friend with someone like me? and Starlight, in the most human moment, says me. But for that to happen, you have to let my friends go. And yes, she trusts her with the mirror, and it kind of gives us a sense of doubt. It's like, is she really going to do it? I mean, seriously, this is a serious moment of suspense. But yes, she gives in to the power of friendship. And upon the release, she reverts to normal. And yeah, the whole immediate turnaround thing is kind of blue. This isn't really so much of a turnaround as much of it is an opportunity at reformation. And we don't know for a fact that she's going to reform. We just kind of know that the realization of what she's done is actually at home. She's like, crap. She basically had an immediate sunset shimmer at the start of Rainbow Rocks moment. A she-demon. I was a colossal she-demon kind of thing, you know? But we actually get some honesty here. So they explained that they've all been there. Only 3 of them have been, but still. In chronological order, no less. We hear Starlight admit that she enslaved an entire village. Twilight used the magic of her friends to nearly conquer a far-off world while simultaneously nearly destroying the one she was in. And of course, Sunset Shimmer transformed a whole bunch of people into her zombie army in order to conquer the same world. And Binky gives one of the funniest moments of the episode. Wow, we are a forgiving bunch, aren't we? That alone made the episode worth watching. I mean, but this was a good episode, a good climactic episode. No, I kind of get that the previous episode and this one worked together to basically make a 2-parter. And if you count the first one, it's basically a long 3-parter. But the Mirror Magic specifically should have been its own self-contained 2-part episode, in my opinion. Now, we do get to the end of the episode, and we see them back at Candlelight High after the premiere. And we see Starlight getting ready to go back home. But Twilight writes back, explaining that some lessons are best learned through doing, and not merely through learning. And that because of the type of education she's trying to give Starlight, that Starlight can stay a few more days to better understand the world. And with any luck, maybe, just maybe, help Sunset. Which hints that we might actually be getting somewhat of a series out of this. If we do, I'm going to be happy. I like the movies, don't get me wrong. But Equestria Girls, the series, plus My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, the series, and a back-to-back hour-long thing, that would be awesome. Or even if just Equestria Girls between the hiatuses and seasons of My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, that would be fantastic. Honestly, I love this. The pacing was a little here and there, which again, this really should have been its own 2-parter. That's my only real complaint. I mean, yeah, we've kind of seen this whole thing before several times, but it does raise a lot of lore-building questions. Where does this magic come from? Why did Montage look so much like Gloriosa did, as far as this Gaia Everfree appearance? Is Gaia Everfree really a real individual that links the human world and the pony world through this rift in the Everfree forest, which exists in both worlds? I mean, so much to ask. But let me know what you think. Personally, I enjoyed all 3 of these, and I'm so glad I finally got a chance to see them all. And I'm so glad I'm finally getting a chance to do a live-action first thoughts video again. But let me know what you think down in the comment section. Did you like these 3? Which one was your favorite? Is there something that you noticed in the series that I didn't, in this trio, that I didn't really comment on? Now, if you have any commentary, critique, etc. about how I did this video, let me know in the comment section as well, because I need you, the viewers, to help me make this channel better. and, more importantly, to make this content better. Because I'm not doing this to satisfy me. I'm doing this to entertain you. So let me know what you think down below. If you like this video, bro, hit that like button. But if you didn't like it, go ahead and give a big ol' apple buck to that dislike button. If you want to see more videos from this channel in the future, why don't you go ahead and tap that subscribe button just above the video description. If you're already subscribed but want to get up to the date notifications of when new content is available, tap that little notification bell, and then you'll get instant notifications on your mobile devices as to when new content is available. And as always, stay tuned to the end credits in order to see ways in which you can keep further contact with this channel. With me, see other content I do, such as on DeviantArt, follow me on Twitter. And to be honest, I don't do a whole lot on Twitter. Most of what I do is just notifications about the channel, or occasionally about projects I post to DeviantArt. I've not figured out how to do little contests or anything yet for that. I really want to figure that out, though. Because I'd like to do more stuff to involve you guys. Anyway, feel free to follow me over there. And use it to keep in touch with me. Ask me questions, whatever. I would love to do a Q&A session someday. And feel free to let me know down in the comments section or in a comment in the discussion section on my page what other content you want to see me do. You want to see more live action reviews, past due reviews, first thoughts, reaction videos, let's plays, impersonations, song covers. What do you want to see? Let me know. In the words of Captain Jean-Luc Picard, I will make it so. Yeah, I am not doing a Jean-Luc Picard impersonation. Patrick Stewart is too good to try and impersonate. Seriously, nobody impersonates him. He basically does himself for all these things that involves his characters. He's fantastic. But anyway, let me know what you guys want to see. And I'll be sure to do my very best to get content of what you suggest as soon as I can. Like I said, stay tuned to the end credits. And again, unfortunately, Patreon's still not available. I do apologize for that right now. But I do have... I should probably actually include it since I use Steam for my Let's Plays a lot of times. But I actually do have some end goals in mind. Unfortunately, I just can't afford them right now. What are they? Well, basically, as far as doing Let's Play videos, as you may know, I've been doing Budokai and Budokai 2 ones recently. And I know that Xenoverse is out, as is Xenoverse 2. Right now, Steam has got some big sales going on. Up until July 5th. In which a lot of their content is half off and even cheaper. Why is that important? Well, I'm going to let you know real quick. By going to my wish list. Because it's a lot easier than type it in the search bar. Yeah, it's a little lazy. But I'm honest about it. Right now, the original Dragon Ball Xenoverse is currently $10, which is cheap considering it's usually $40. And if I can find it again, the Xenoverse 2 is currently $25, where it's usually $50. That's right. If I had Patreon, I would have my goal set up to get some of these other games in order to help you guys out. Well, not really help you guys out, but I'd be able to make new content to entertain you guys with. But until that time, it's okay. Anyone who's curious to know about my Steam account and to maybe help out, I'm not trying to ask you guys to do that. I'm just giving you the option. Just look up self_Darren. That's D-A-R-R-E-N. It'll be easy to spot. Just look for the yin-yang symbol of the day and the night sky. But yeah, it's basically the same as how my Yahoo email address is, which I'm pretty sure I have that listed at the end. If I don't, then I'm sorry about that. But anyways, I just wanted to include that little bit of information here at the end. Well, thank you for tuning in, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this First Thoughts live reaction video. Well, not really a live reaction, but this First Thoughts live action review for the Equestria Girls Minisodes. And again, let me know what you guys thought, and make any suggestions you want in the comments section. And as always, everybody, don't go changing for anyone but yourselves. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time.